What the hell? It's already 20 minutes in.
Uh, I
Is that a
didn't have the
date,
time to
Glenn?
look at your stories because I was on meetings. So is
It's
that
fine. Yeah, just roll with it. You'll be fine. You'll do fine.
Do exactly what I do because I don't read anything before the meetings anyway,
Yeah, neither
before the
does
call.
Brian.
that shows?
That's why
He'll
we're
be good.
live, baby. We're almost live.
Hello, my friends.
Thank you for joining us for the PEBCAK Podcast, a weekly information security show featuring some all-around good people. It is week 44 of 2023. I'm Chris Louie, and I always wear safety glasses when working with power tools. With me, I do not have my co-host, the Hot Dad. After spending a full week in Canada, or as I like to call it, America's Hat, he has some things he had to attend to, but he'll definitely be back next week.
What is he attending to? Like, it was a vacation for him. What was he doing over there?
Black Hat Canada.
He has
Black
things
Hat
to attend to after he gets back. We were supposed to record after he gets back, and he's like, I'm too busy. I can't record after I get back.
Was it all 5 guys that attended Black Hat Canada? Was it one from each suburb?
Tom, Joe, Victor.
Hey.
A. Who we do have is Glenn Medina, finally coming out of that chicken wing and French fry induced food coma.
Yo, why you gotta down a man like that? I love my chicken wings, dude. Like everyone else in America. Maybe not Canada.
Yeah, we love
'cause
them,
yeah.
but it definitely puts you in the food coma. I'm just saying.
It does.
I just finally
It
woke
does.
up.
It does. I love my chicken wings. B-dub-dub, come sponsor us here on the podcast.
Our guest this week is friend of the show, Victor DeLuca. We're glad to have you back. With 3 guest appearances, it makes him the guest with the most appearances so far on the PEBCAK podcast. Victor, do you want to say a few words to start the show?
3 appearances. Do I qualify for disability now, or?
Yeah, you get that anyway because you're in Canada.
And it's free.
You get covered
Exactly.
Canada over there. So
You'll get a PEBCAK podcast sticker next time I see you.
Love that.
don't we give that around to just everybody? Just listen.
Listeners, we give them to listeners. You have to be a listener to get the sticker.
Well, soon, hopefully, we can get our act together and order those USB condoms.
Get some merch.
Yeah, get some merch out to everybody.
I blame Deech. He wanted to redesign the logo before we bought legitimate merch. He doesn't like our logo, even though I like it.
What? Yeah, Why would you even care what he has to say? No, I don't.
Just order it. All right.
Just order it.
I'll get right on that, Glenn.
You got it. Make it so.
Combined, we have decades of information security experience here, not just to educate, but to entertain. We've got 4 awesome stories for you this week, so sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. This is our annual Halloween episode, and as is tradition, we have dressed up for this episode. You'll have to visit our Instagram page at PEBCAK Podcast to see the picture. This year, I dressed up as Super Mario. Glenn dressed up as somebody that's conducting the purge. I think that's what Brian did last year. And we have Victor coming in hot as the GQ runway model.
It's not even a costume, right? That's just my daily attire.
It is. Can confirm.
He dresses for the runway every day, ladies and gentlemen.
Dress for the job you want, not the job you have.
No comment.
Yeah, no comment.
I want to be an Italian plumber. What can I say?
I was looking at Chris like...
Our thoughts continue to be with the people of Israel. As we 100% predicted on the show, despicable scammers are starting to take advantage of the crisis and spinning up fake charities and relief organizations and soliciting donations of cryptocurrency. They are almost always a scam. The accounts used to promote these charities were registered within the last month, and the wallets they tell you to send the money to have no activity in them, so big red flag. Only donate to reputable charities such as the British Red Cross and Doctors Without Borders. This week we're going to talk about the MGM hack again, USB flash drives making the news, a pair of encrypted USB flash drive stories, and close with Halloween talk. For our first topic, we revisit our story yet again about the MGM and Caesars hack. We're getting more information now about the crew thought to be behind the attack, the so-called Scattered Spider group, an affiliate of the Alpha V ransomware group. We previously knew that their primary entry point into corporate networks is social engineering, the corporate credentials. We also know that most of the members of the Scattered Spider crew are graduates of the online community known as the COM, where young males, primarily native English speakers in the US, UK, and Canada, learn skills such as social engineering and violence as a service. A new report from Cyberscoop says that the Scattered Spider group combined the two schools and are now using threats of violence against corporate employees to get them to give up their corporate credentials and multi-factor authentication codes. Screenshots of some of the text message exchanges can be found in the Cyberscoop article, and in one instance, a member of the Scattered Spider group threatened to send a shooter to the employee's house to kill his wife unless he gave up his corporate credentials. So definitely a scary new attack vector.
Are these kids?
Yeah, they're young males thought to be between 19 and 24.
Thugs.
So, yeah, thugs.
The new online thugs. Come to my house and threaten me. That's going to be fun.
And it's absolutely awful, right? Because these guys are coming from a hacking background. Now all of a sudden they're making like death threats, which can escalate a lot. Because if you're just on the hook for hacking, it's one thing. If you're on the hook for all these other crimes, it's probably a lot worse.
That's a death penalty, right? In Canada? Death threats?
Yeah, death by beaver.
Death by maple syrup.
Binging.
Gratuitous beaver? Is that what you're talking about?
Death by snoo snoo. Yeah, I think Victor's right on that.
There's the text.
Yeah, there's a like in the UK, they piloted this like rehabilitation program so that these kids are like DDoSing each other offline and they get caught. You know, that's illegal, but you don't want to throw this person in jail and ruin their life. So they put them on the track of, well, you have skills, let's apply them correctly. But like Victor said, if you start pivoting into like death threats, you might not get that option.
Yeah, exactly. And that reminds me, a friend of mine messaged me about 3 weeks ago, and they found this kid that is DDoSing the network of this school, essentially. And he was asking me, do you know if there's any resources like that I can steer him towards to sort of channel and focus his learnings towards something a little bit better? But it's kind of difficult because there's no trainings for kids that are just script kiddies. They're just, I think he was 13 or 14 years old, and it's real. Like there's a real possibility that he just ends up as one of these kids hacking casinos.
Yeah, lost in the system. They go online to find a community. They find this community called the COM. Lots of like thinkers, and then they get hardened or even radicalized at that point.
Yeah.
Where's the parents? Or am I just lost?
If they made it this far, yeah, I don't know. They're probably nowhere to be found, or not the best role models, I should say.
Yeah. If I found out my kid was doing that, they'd get a good beating. Good old-fashioned Asian beating. Oh, sorry, do you have to beat me for that one?
Good old butt whooping.
Yeah. Like I had a saying, I don't know if you guys ever heard me say this, like I took my kids purposely on the cruise ship so we could go to international waters just so I could threaten to beat them if they did misbehave. So
Were they at least gambling, or?
No, they were young. They were like 10, 11, and 12 or something like that. So
Well, nothing preventing them from gambling, so.
Yeah, well, some ship rules, but yeah. I told them we were in international waters and I would beat the crap out of them, and the lady in front of me looked at me like, oh my God, I can't believe you said that. I said,
you monster.
We're in international waters. I can do whatever I want.
Wait till we get back.
You keep running your mouth and you might catch a beating too.
That's right. Heck, you may not even make it to port, lady. So.
This is going to end in like a purge.
Yeah. Right. I think this also highlights the importance of staying private, because this person from the hacker group was able to find this person, get their phone number, start texting them, and then knew that they had a wife, knew where they lived. So that's part of something called open source intelligence gathering, or OSINT. that if you have any kind of online presence, Facebook, social media, even public records, you can find out where somebody lives, find out who's related to them, and bad guys are going to try to take advantage of that to have you cough up your username and password to break into your network.
That goes back to operational security, right? Like, don't post your phone numbers, don't post your addresses, don't take pictures, of where you are. That's just typical common sense. I used to tell my kids all the time. I said, I don't care what you post, just don't post what we're doing right now, right? Because that's just not a good idea. So,
OPSEC, baby. I remember seeing that picture of all the army dudes running on Strava in the same base in Iraq or something. That's a golden meme forever.
Yeah, or Geraldo Rivera giving up the base's location in Iraq.
Yeah.
I think he did one in Cuba, or was that in Panama, when they were getting ready to invade, and he's standing at the beach, and the Navy SEALs are coming in and breaching the waters and the walls, and it's like, here they are! And they're like, dude, you just gave away their position.
Yeah, think about all those Twitch revenues. Live stream that.
Yeah, all the followers they'll get from that. But if companies cannot protect against this, then that's what we always say. Assume your credentials are going to get breached, and then how do I stop that from creating a catastrophic event like MGM? How do we properly segment the network? How do we apply principles of least privilege to make sure that even if they're compromised, that it doesn't cost us another $110 million?
So let's go through this a little bit. Just take a step back. So you get this death threat, you and your family. Do you immediately take that to the police and go, hey, listen, I got a threat. They're going to kill my family if I don't provide this information. Does that go straight to the FBI, and does it actually ring any? Does it get anything going? I guess is what I'm saying, because it's a higher level of crime now, because it's not just hacking, it's actually death threats, which is something that's big, right?
Probably local police first. I think you would always start there, and if they have to get the feds involved, then they might, and maybe they might try to trace the number, see if it's a spoof number, if it's international or across state lines, then they can get other agencies involved, but probably start with the police first.
Yeah, I think that's
and your company's emergency helpline. I would think that's pretty important to know that there might be an impending attack, because you might not be the only one they're threatening, and someone else might be.
That's right.
Giving up their credentials.
Good point there, Chris.
Yeah. And going back to OPSEC, I remember reading about this company called Optery, and I'm not sponsored by them, so I have no economic incentive here, but they do your attack surface for your own personal information on the web, so you can search and see what's out there, what they find, and then are you comfortable with what's on the web, what they found, public registries. I know in the U.S. you guys are pretty strong on I think real estate and being transactions and all that. So you're able to find most of the information online. I think even in Florida, right? Because of all those Florida memes guy,
Florida Records Act,
guy memes, you can find all the
favorite
police,
Florida man
records. So
yep.
It's pretty cool that some companies are actually starting to pay attention to your own attack surface for personal information.
One of the credit cards I have offers a similar service. They go out there and search the top 10 public records companies out there, and you just hit one button and they submit deletion requests for it. So I use that. That's actually pretty good.
That's awesome.
Yep, get that information off, scrub that, and just think about, I do that, but how many other people don't even know about it, that this is out there, and criminals will find it and use it to their advantage. For our second topic, it's been more than 8 years since I last thought about a USB flash drive, but apparently they are still around. There's a pair of articles related to them. The first one is that a hacking group called Tetris Phantom was able to infect a secure encrypted flash drive to steal data off of government systems. I have a unique knowledge of how secure USB drives work, as I work for the global leader of encrypted USB drives for over 5 years. How it works is you plug in an encrypted flash drive into a computer, and it mounts a read-only volume with the unlocking software mounted there. After launching the software and authenticating to the drive, it unlocks and mounts the encrypted partition. the Tetris Phantom group managed to find a way to make the read-only volume read-write. This is significant because a lot of these encrypted USB devices are taken into air-gapped networks that are completely isolated from the internet. They want to keep all the information there secure so that it's completely disconnected from the internet. The malware will hoover up and steal data from the air-gapped network, then wait for the user to plug the device into an internet-connected computer, then upload the stolen data. Sneaky.
Absolutely. But how did they get through the encrypted drive, Chris? Because that makes no sense, right? Did they root it and then now they're bypassing all the protocols inside there?
They somehow found a way to change the read-only volume to read-write. There's some kind of exploit that they found, and they did not identify the vendor who it was. I think it was Kaspersky Labs that figured this out, but they didn't identify the vendor and they didn't say how they did it, but they managed to do it.
And how widespread is that? I'm wondering, because how do you know? How does it spread? Was it spreading like quickly, like spreading from a flash drive to another? Was that something that was going on also, or?
I think so. I think part of how it infected was, it would probably infect the device, and then maybe it would propagate by plugging that device in, move a copy of that malware. So if somebody plugs in a different USB drive from that same vendor, that would infect the new one too. That'd be one way that they would be able to propagate that.
Yeah, I mean, first you have to access that USB drive, right? The first one, and then be able to propagate it. So that's an interesting one. Like if you got it on a machine that was already infected, and you're sticking that into a machine, and then you take that USB and you stick it into like a device that's supposed to be off net or classified. That just sounds like a bad practice to begin with. Like, how do I transfer data from here to there? Let me stick it in this USB drive off of this computer that could be potentially dirty and stick it into another computer that's supposed to be super clean. That just, yeah.
Security is not your responsibility, man. You're just an end user.
You're not paid to think about these things, Glenn.
It's process. Oh my God, that process sucks. So.
Yeah, USB devices they're still used in the developing world where they might not have fast internet or might not be reliable. So it's easier to transport files through USB. I mean, I personally have not used one for any reasonable, corporate stuff, at least for the last 8+ years since I left that company. We all just use various, other services that are easier here. But for some parts of the world, they might still use USB devices, especially for things like air-gapped networks, getting data between an air-gapped network and a non-air-gapped network. This could be one method that they use.
So the hack is really just hoovering, like sucking all the data up from that classified machine or the air-gapped machine and seeing what you can garner from that.
Yep, exactly. And then upload it once it's plugged into an internet-connected machine.
Yeah, I just think about what kind of air-gapped networks are out there like now, like process logic controllers that are out there that they're going to plug into medical devices, right?
SCADA networks,
OT
networks, maybe.
Yeah, it must be very targeted. That's something I would assume. It's that they're targeting, nuclear, or large scale factories or something. It has to be like a critical. Maybe it's cyber warfare. Maybe it's something that is dedicated to specific government, specific facilities. Because otherwise, I don't see, most of us using a flash drive, USB drive very commonly. It's not.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen anymore.
Unless you're the HVAC vendor at Target, though, then you're using a USB drive.
You might use USB devices. I think Kaspersky said some of the research indicated that the likely target was Southeast Asian governments or Southeast Asian countries, which most likely points to this being China, but haven't fully attributed it to them, but maybe Taiwan and some of their neighbors there, that they're looking at government systems. The Chinese, the PLA, is very good at hacking into systems, but it's really hard to get into air-gapped networks unless you do something like this.
Just like I said, from a corporate standpoint, I don't think the last time I've been allowed to plug in that's a USB stick. Have you? I mean, most of the companies that I've talked to are like, that's a banned thing. Not even a banned thing. That's a controlled. You cannot even do that. So talking to some of my customers.
Yeah.
GPO.
yeah, block it unless it's like a keyboard or something of the sort.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of the use cases that I've seen now, I will say, is literally all the courts and the lawyers, when they need to bring in files. I've seen CDs, I've seen USB keys. They have to give the file under a specific format. So that's the last time I saw someone actually burning a CD and bringing evidence to court. Because I don't know if that's widespread outside of Canada, but I've seen it, and it was weird. Imagine how many CDs you would need for a lot of data.
That's why you burn Blu-ray discs.
Yeah, I was gonna say 650 megabytes at a time, or if it's a DVD, 4.3 gig at a time.
But what would I do with a Blu-ray? I don't have a PS3 to read it.
Yeah. If Victor doesn't have a Blu-ray reader, what makes you think the court system would have a Blu-ray reader, Glenn?
Oh my god.
Would they have a PS3?
Oh my god. I'm surprised you said what's a DVD. You need to say that.
Victor's not that young. I'm pretty sure he knows what a DVD is.
Yeah. Don't ask me what it is though, but I can tell you. I remember.
Now ask him about Betamax, Glenn.
It's like you go back to Zoolander. We had talked about Zoolander. The files are in the computer. Shaking the monitor. So trying to get the files out. Oh, that was hilarious.
For our third topic, keeping with the topic of encrypted USB drives, we're going to specifically talk about the company I used to work for, IronKey. We made the world's most secure flash drive, and we had a feature that after 10 consecutive incorrect guesses to the password, the drive would self-destruct, and there was no way to ever get the data back.
Would it blow up? Like burn? Like...
No, we got a lot of enhancement requests asking for that, for like a puff of smoke or something to come out of it, but no, the little LED on the bottom changes from green to red, and that's how you know the drive is dead. Red means dead.
It would be nice if you could put a little, like a bullet inside there or a charge.
A smoke bomb. Yeah.
And it just smoke them out.
Pop.
And,
Yeah.
So I'm curious. There was nothing physical. It was just the OS killing or destroying the data, right? There was nothing physical happening on the USB key.
Yeah, nothing physical. Everything was done electronically. Yeah, it would zero out the encryption keys. It would zero out the memory. It would put we had a cryptographic chip on there. It would be put in a permanent shutdown state that would never be able to be revived. So we don't short it out or anything, but there were logical controls to effectively destroy the data and the drive.
So you're saying there's a chance because you didn't destroy the hardware?
Physically, no. Well, this became problematic to a lot of Bitcoin hodlers because they stored their Bitcoin wallet on these devices, which was a really smart move because if someone found it, they wouldn't be able to get into it. What was not so smart is that they forgot the password, and if they guessed too many times, their millions of dollars are lost forever. One IronKey customer in particular has nearly $300 million in Bitcoin on an IronKey drive, and he has 2 password attempts remaining before the drive permanently destroys itself. A third-party company has purported to have hacked the IronKey to give them unlimited guesses so that they could just brute force the password on the device. The device they're using is over 14 years old, so I am proud to say that I helped build a product that held the title of the world's most secure for 14 years. We released newer devices, no word if they have also been cracked yet. So do you guys believe, given enough time and money, that any secure system can be broken?
If it's built on software, the answer is yes. Agree? I mean, you can pretty much hack anything if it's got software running it. And
I'd be curious to see, the company that reported they've hacked the IronKey, and with the guy that has 2 guesses, would you just try it out? let's say it doesn't work. Right now you're stuck and you lost your $300 million on.
That's where the story gets weird. So I linked through to the story in Wired that was originally sent to me, and the guy that has the IronKey, he says he contracted with 2 companies to try to get his money back. Neither of them have been successful. The company that has proven, at least, so they proved it to Wired Magazine. They're not making anything public about it, but they proved it to Wired Magazine that they can at least break into an IronKey. It's a very specific model. It's the S200 that was end of life in 2013, I believe. And the guy that has the Bitcoin on his wall is like, no thanks. Like, they approach him and says, well, we'll break into this for you. We've proven that we can do it. Why won't you let us get in? And the guy holding the 300 million is just like, no thanks. So it's really weird why he wouldn't want access to that money right now. There's something else going on for sure.
He's a true huddler.
Yeah, even if I was hodling it, I'm like, I would at least want access to, unless he thinks that he might be reckless with it, he might spend it right away, or the second he cracks it, he's going to get a visit from the mafiosos trying to get their extortion money. Maybe that's why.
Well, think about the 2 previous companies are probably like, yeah, we got this, we could do it. And then they go through attempts, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then he's like, oh my God, I only got 2 left. He goes, these guys are liars. Yeah, we don't got it. These guys are liars. So.
Yeah, but why wouldn't that guy go to the company that has proven, at least to Wired Magazine, that they can get into it?
Who knows? But you're right.
I mean, you need to trust them. Like I told you, there's 2 attempts left. So if they waste those attempts on like AA, and then you're just like
111, 1111.
And it's over, right? Yeah. So it's there's a risk. There's a real risk that he never gets the money ever, but maybe he thinks that risk is higher by going with that company.
You think he's just going to magically wake up and go, that's the password. I love cats.
Potentially, or maybe they want a really big cut of the 300
That could be it. That the company that cracked it might be asking for a really high commission, and the other 2 companies are not going to ask for such a high commission.
They didn't ask for money. They just told them that they didn't tell them that they could crack it. They just told them they could extend the amount of the attempts, right?
Basically, yeah. So that's an important distinction. So the encryption used, it's AES-256, that has not been broken. That has not been cracked. The way that this company was able to get in was we had 10 attempts, and the attempts were tracked by something called the try counter, and they're able to reset the try counter or freeze it somehow, so they got unlimited guesses. And in the proof of concept they did for Wired, they said it took like 400 trillion guesses or something to finally get it, which is really expensive because you have to rent these GPU rigs to do all these password attempts, but eventually you'll eventually get into it.
Yeah. You can brute force, everything. Just a matter of time.
Get enough time, get enough money, yeah.
Enough tries. So yeah, I think to go back to your question, I think it's doable. For sure. No system is perfect.
Just like we had with the data encryption standard, I think that was 56-bit encryption, then that got broken. Then we went to triple DES, and then we went to AES, and
128.
Even RSA 2048 is going to get cracked at some point once we have quantum computing with enough qubits. Not yet, but that's why we're already forward thinking of these quantum proof algorithms.
Yeah.
So the company said they meticulously deconstructed the IronKey. They used millions of dollars worth of equipment. They mapped out the processor at a microscopic level, and it said the company tracked down some of the engineers that worked to produce the drive to, get some information on it. So I'm wondering, I probably work with these people. I want to know who talked and gave these guys the secret to how to break into the drive.
And what is the company doing? So this company is just, it's just their business model is cracking USB keys for Bitcoin, like cryptocurrency wallets. Is that their business model?
I guess it's either that or just breaking encryption overall. Like if you remember the iPhone from the San Bernardino shooters in I think it was 2015 or somewhere around there. The FBI paid, I think it was $800,000 to this Israeli company to decode the phone to get into it. And surprise, surprise, there's literally nothing useful on it. So that was a total waste of taxpayer money. But this company is probably going to do the same thing. The FBI is going to bring them an IronKey. It says I got some evidence on here, I need access to it, and then this company will say, well, give us hundreds of thousands of dollars and we'll break into it for you. I think that's probably their business model.
Well, it's $350 million. I'm like, hey, I just give me 50%. And, you know, you can keep 50. That's still a lot of donuts, right? So.
Yeah, that's enough to retire off of, no matter how way you, or what way you cut it. 300 million, even 10%, $30 million in many places in the U.S. You could retire on $30 million.
Yeah.
But you guys are looking at this from the rational perspective. Someone that bought that many bitcoins was probably not rational, right? It's like
you're talking to one of them right now, wearing a red and blue outfit.
Of course. But you're not rational. If you hold that many bitcoins, it may not be a rational decision. So we're all thinking from this perspective of like, yeah, just give him 150 million. But you know, whoever bought thousands of bitcoins, I don't know what's the original value of those bitcoins, but it may have been a really, really high price as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I forgot what it said, what the entry point was, but they just say in today's money, it's a lot. 300 million.
Yeah, they said 7,000 bitcoins.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah,
wow.
And it's going up. I think we hit 35,000 for a short bit, and it's still going up. So I'm sure this 300 million is probably worth even more now since the time of print.
Yeah. I mean, it's always going up and down. Do you have that monkey NFT? Ape? Do you have
the Bored Ape
NFT?
I did not get in on the Bored Ape NFTs. I got in on some other NFTs, and that was a bad investment, gotta say.
I met a guy last week, and he was telling me about this Bored Ape NFT, or I don't know if it's a Bored Ape, but it was an ape NFT, and he bought it for close to $40,000, and now it's worth only $1,000. So
yeah, that sounds about right. I did not sink that much money into it, even though it's down. Just sell it for a loss, take the capital losses, or hodl it. Maybe it'll come back.
Yeah, you don't lose money if you never sell.
Exactly. It's only a loss when you sell. Good investment advice. For our last topic, and it'll be a rotating topic every week. This week, we're going to talk about the upcoming holiday, Halloween. So at the time of you're probably listening to it, tomorrow will be Halloween. It's almost Halloween here in the U.S. What do you guys do up in Canada for Halloween? Is it any different than what we do here?
Eat poutine.
Well, you assume that I know what you guys are doing. Isn't that the purge? Like, are you guys purging? Oh no, that's
what Glenn does.
I wish.
Yeah, Glenn and Brian. They got
you just hand out AR-15s and.
Nice.
No, I would say the door-to-door, getting the candies, dressing up, having a costume. That's pretty popular, but mostly for kids. There's not really a lot of adults that do it. I know. Super Mario right now is properly dressed as an Italian plumber, but I wouldn't say super popular. Do you guys have plans for like a Halloween party or something?
You guys don't do big adult Halloween parties? That's like the thing here in California.
It is. You do one for the kids, and then the adults get their own too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I'm not there yet, right? No kids, so no parties for me.
Well, even before I had kids, we'd go to Halloween parties as adults.
But I
think that's dying down. I think it's losing popularity, I will say.
What?
Maybe because of the pandemic.
Yeah.
But pre-pandemic, I bet it was pretty popular. Unless you guys really don't observe it as much up in Canada as we do down here.
Observed all the day.
It's the one time of the year where people get to dress how normal. So, not normal, but whoever their character that they want to be, right? Their alter ego.
I once wore my inflatable T-Rex costume into the Zscaler office, so there's just a walking dinosaur in the office for a while.
He still wears it. He loves that.
I do. I still love that.
It's good until he farts, and then he hates life. So.
And then he died.
I'll send you the picture. One of our coworkers, David, was sitting in the next row. He just looked over and he's like, "Why is there a giant dinosaur head over the cubicle wall?"
So, are you guys? Are your kids going to disguise themselves or?
Disguise? You mean dress up in costume?
A disguise, yeah, a costume. That's
His little girl's gonna be the princess from Mario.
One of
Get the
them, yeah.
theme? Yeah.
Yeah.
Peach.
You gonna
Peach or Daisy?
Rosalina.
Rosalina?
Yeah. So she came in Super Mario All-Star, so she wasn't one of the original ones.
Yeah. What are you gonna dress up the little boy as?
He's going as Yoshi, so we have the whole Mario theme.
Gotcha.
Sick.
I'm lighting a fire in front of the house. Little barbecue, one of those fire solo stoves. I'm going to have a big glass of wine sitting next to me. I'm going to be passing out candy. We'll take that back. I'm not going to pass out candy. I'll let them dig in the bowl themselves. So I'll be passed out, guys.
Yeah. This year the new house will actually have power to it, so we could actually leave like a candy bowl out there with a light on now. Because last year we had no power. It actually looked like a haunted house. It was in a state of reconstruction.
Yeah, no power, and they stole his cameras too at the same time.
That's a good thing. You upgraded from a tent, right? So at least now you have
Exactly.
a home.
From a tent to a shack.
That's it.
Moving up, baby. What was your guys' most memorable or favorite costume? Either one you wore or one that you saw somebody else wear?
Most memorable. I don't know if I could say it over here, but I'll say it anyway. There was a couple
Sexy nurse.
There was a couple that showed up. He was the plug, and she was a light socket.
Oh, the socket and the plug one.
Yeah,
Yeah,
socket and
I've
the
seen the
plug.
couple's costume. You can appreciate it when the couple does that, like the bacon and eggs. Or I think there was one that was avocado toast or avocado. Like one was the pit and one was the avocado.
Yeah. There's some good ones out there. One year, a couple friends of ours, they dressed up as the whole Incredible family, and I said, "That's actually really cool."
Yeah.
That wasn't bad.
Yeah. Myself, I remember about 10 years ago, my uncle had built a dead mouse.
That's when he was
Mouse
10,
head?
folks. 10 years ago when he was 10.
Yeah. But yeah, I disguised myself as I had the dead mouse costume, so that was a really cool thing. It would light up and all. So my uncle had built it, and
Nice. He wired it up and everything.
everything. Yeah, it was pretty cool.
The Lego hair didn't catch on fire.
No, Lego hair, all good.
Good. One year I dressed up as Jack from Jack in the Box. So I actually made the head out of paper mache, and I wore the suit, and we went to a party, and that seemed to be one of the hit costumes. I was actually really proud of that one. That was a pretty cool one that I made. I'll have to post a picture of that on the Instagram account.
It was only 3 years ago, folks.
That was a while. It was definitely before kids. I think it had
Yeah.
to be at least 10 years ago.
Oh, okay. That's a lot of planning to make a head out of paper mache.
It is. It was a lot of work. And then I kept it for a while, and then it eventually molded because it's paper mache. And I'd toss it. I guess this question is more for Glenn. Glenn, when your kids were trick-or-treating, did you have the parent tax that you'd go through it and take what you wanted and teach them how taxes work?
That's every year. Yeah. When the kids were at home. I used to have the kids line up. They would be on the floor, and they're divvying up their candy. They're doing their trade. And I would tell the kids, my kids, my friends' kids, and nieces and nephews, and I'd have them say, all right, you got to take 10 pieces and put them in the middle of the pile, right? And they're like, okay, great. Why? And I'm like, because that's mine. And they're like, so if you don't like that, don't vote Democratic, right? Vote Republican because you want to keep it the
But it was 10 out of how many?
It didn't matter. It was just 10. So the little kids only had 20, so they had to give up half their pile. Some of the bigger kids had like
not
100.
a democratic value. That's a flat tax value.
Yeah, that's a flat tax, dude. What are you talking about?
I guess I
I
should
had
have
to
just
give
said, give me
60.
half no matter what, right? So
Yeah, a Democrat policy would be the more you make, the more you have to
you have
give.
to give, yeah.
Yeah, and then the bottom 50% wouldn't have to give you anything because they don't pay taxes.
That's right. They don't have to work as hard for it either. So
Universal candy income.
Yeah, exactly. Last question here. What is your guys' favorite Halloween candy?
So I don't really have a sweet tooth, which is
Probably for
weird.
the
And now
best.
with
Beef jerky.
I used to chew. So I'm vegetarian and I can't
What?
chew gum because of the braces.
Strike 3! You're out of here, buddy.
That's not very inclusive.
We gave him hassle for that on
That's
the.
it. That's the last time we have him on this show, folks.
You know, excluding me because of the age and now my diet.
No, it was because
your
of
choice of
Windows
PC.
Windows machine, your choice of machine, the fact that you don't have you have a headset with a mic instead of a professional microphone, which you spend in all day long. But it's okay. It's okay. I'm gonna give you one more chance. We're gonna give you one more chance, Victor.
Yeah, but what I will say is I used to love chewing gum, and then I had to stop because of the braces and my mouth, so I can't do it anymore.
Have you ever
But
tried
that's not
those
forever.
non-stick gums?
The stick gums?
Non-stick.
No.
There's specific gum
Non-stick.
that's like that says it's non-stick. I can't remember what it's called. I don't even know if it's still around. But when I had braces, I was able to chew the non-stick gum okay without it getting in
Yeah.
everything.
Anyway, my dentist said that it was bad because of the way I was chewing and my jaw and the bones and everything, so I should stop. So I stopped 5 years ago, and that's it.
You've had braces for 5 years now?
No, it was before the braces.
Okay.
The chewing gum, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, they're taking off the braces once I turn 17, so
So 2 more years then.
So 2 more years.
2 more years.
I was never much of a chocolate person. I like the Sour Patch. I like sour candy, so I did like the Sour Patch. I like the Warheads. Those were okay. Swedish Fish actually. So they sucked for a really really long time, and then they came out with this new and improved Swedish Fish. Probably within the last 2 years or so, and it even says it on the package like, "Hey, we changed our formula. We don't suck anymore." So actually, after they changed the Swedish Fish formula, yeah, it doesn't suck anymore.
Well, no, like I said, I've always liked candy. I don't think there's a lot of candy out there that I don't like. We'll take that back, except orange candy. Whatever's orange, I just throw to the side. But yeah, beef jerky. If you give me beef jerky, I'll eat it. I love the
Literally
toothbrushes.
nobody gives out beef jerky.
Hey,
on,
quiet!
so-
I'm trying to get
yeah,
I'm trying to get this thing going over here, where people give beef jerky out.
Start a revolution, Glenn.
Start a revolution. Then the toothbrush. You always have one person in the neighborhood giving toothbrushes away.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, either the toothbrush or the sample size toothpaste, which is probably good to counteract all the sugar they're gonna eat.
Yeah.
I guess Actually, I just thought of another good question. What's the weirdest thing you've gotten in a trick or treat when you were a kid,
Drugs?
or either when you were a kid in Victor's case, or your kids, Glenn?
Homemade goodies. Don't give me homemade goodies. I'm not gonna
Yeah,
eat that. I don't know who you are.
That's
Like,
an odd one, yeah. Homemade
Yeah.
goodies, or the other one was like they'd buy a bulk package of M&Ms and they'd stick it in a bag. I'm like,
Yeah.
you're not eating that.
Yeah.
You don't know how they handled it, who's touched it. It's not sealed. No.
Where they stuck it.
Yeah.
Yeah, the homemade cookies, that's a weird one. I never got it. I don't know why you would do that. It's probably more expensive, takes a lot of time, and then you have to make the little packages. And it's sad because they're always like super well packaged, and they look like good cookies, but I never ate them.
I'm gonna ask one more based off of this, unless you want to answer
I'll
that.
go
Go,
real
Chris.
quick. Yeah, I'll go real quick. I've gotten, so my kids have gotten like protein bars, like Cliff Bars, or like protein bars made specifically for adults. I thought that was a little weird.
Get those gains.
Yeah. I've gotten quarters in the bucket. Like, all right, I can
I'll take a
appreciate
quarter.
money. Who
Yeah.
who doesn't like money? I don't remember if there were anything else, but yeah, the homemade stuff or the home packaged stuff, that was a little odd.
Do you guys have a teenage routine that you guys would do on Halloween? No. Things that you guys would do
Routine.
for Halloween.
I think I was at the age where I could actually like take my cousin's kids out trick or treating. I don't think I got into much mischief. If you're talking about like egging a house or TPing somebody, no, Glenn, I never did that.
Well, there's always these jack-o'-lanterns all over the neighborhood, so we would take them and find the hill in the neighborhood and just roll them down the street. Those are always fun.
So like put fireworks in it or something and blow it up.
I didn't say I did that. I did not say I did that.
He says, nodding.
Well, we continue to get great comments about our dad joke of the week.
Dad joke of the week.
This week, our guest Victor is up.
All right, I have a good one for you guys.
But he's not a dad.
Fine, we've had plenty of people on the pod.
No,
that are dads
I'm messing
that
with
can't
Victor
get
now.
dad jokes.
I'm just messing.
Who knows?
Yeah, who knows? Ooh.
No kids that he knows of.
So, there you go. There you go.
None in Canada. So today, Chris asked me to join the podcast because apparently Brian had decided to teach you guys.
Da-da-da. That's the best one we've had in a while. There you go.
That's a good one. And you made it personal specifically about the show.
Yeah. Deech is such a loser. So
He's not here to defend himself.
He almost stayed in Canada, right? He almost overstayed his visa. He really hates the U.S. now. That's what he told me. I don't know.
He hates all that freedom we have here.
Yeah.
He's in love with Trudeau.
He's given away all his weapons and he's moved on to Canada. Oh, Canada.
He's gonna help build that wall because he doesn't want any of those Americans coming up and joining him in Canada.
He loves that maple syrup. So.
He told me he showed up to the gym with a 1776 and U.S. flag on his T-shirt. So.
Yeah, that sounds like him. All right, to wrap things up, the MGM hackers used threats of violence to steal corporate credentials. Secure USB drives are being used to steal data off of air-gapped networks. The IronKey has been hacked. And happy Halloween. Have a very safe Halloween this year. That's all I have for this week. We hope you enjoyed this week's episode. You can find us all on LinkedIn. Links will be in the description. Follow us on Instagram at PEBCAK Podcast. Thank you to our listeners and subscribers who rate us 5 stars in the iTunes Store and Spotify and left us a review. We appreciate you all spreading the word to help grow the show. The best way to find us is to search for the PEBCAK Podcast on your favorite podcast listening app. For my co-host Glenn Medina and our guest Victor DeLuca, thanks for listening. See y'all next weekend. As always, have a nice day.
Bye, Felicia.
Bye, Felicia.
Have a nice day.